It's a pun time.
Don't punish him like that.
The Punishator. Anyway. And welcome to another episode of the Spoiler Room, the last one for 2016. We welcome you all, my listeners, and we're going to do something a little different. Normally, these types of shows I normally don't quite do, but I am very curious because it was an interesting year. So we're doing a best of, worst of 2016, and I have a great group of crew members here with me tonight to discuss what films that came out in 2016 that they found some of their best and some of their worst. Now, this might not be their top three or whatnot, but it'll just be just films that they, out of the collection of ones they saw, that they thought felt were some of the best. And the crew members tonight, first off, we have Mr. Astro Radio Z. You'll recognize those sweet, sweet pipes of Mr. Derek Carey. Hello, Derek.
Hello, Mark. Thank you for including me in this discussion.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. We're always glad to have you in the room. And next to him is Mr. Gonzorific. Yes, the lovely Andrew Shearer is here with us tonight. Hello, Andrew.
Hey, y'all. Lovely to be lovely. Hey, you know what I did? I ate all my candy before I got on here, so I don't make any noise.
Well, it's just that we get jealous because then we can't reach through the computer and grab some of that candy for
ourselves. It's
just
weird to talk about movies and not eat some candy.
No, I understand.
It don't make no sense.
It doesn't. And next to him, the bow tie ferret, it is Paul Salzer. Hello, Paul.
Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's having a good night.
Well, we're trying. I'm glad to have you in his house, if you will. And speaking of in his house, we have the one, the only. It is Scotty D is here with us tonight. Hello, Scott.
Hey, good to be here. Did it sound convincing? I tried to make it sound convincing.
You sounded almost like you wanted to be here. You did a good job, Scott.
Almost this close.
You're this close. Really appreciate it. So tonight we are going to talk about some of the best and some of the worst we've seen over 2016 that came out this year. And we're just going to dive right in tonight because Andrew wanted to say a little something just before he gives his list. He'll be the first one tonight to give his list. And Andrew, why don't you go ahead and just you wanted to make a comment about something.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I wanted like a moment of silence, but it's not for the death of like a particular celebrity. It's more of a moment of silence for our collective ability to respectfully observe the passing of celebrities. It's like my dog of 14 years died in March, and I had a close friend of over 20 years die in June. And you know what? Like, no one ever said to me, no one went, "Fuck 2016" when I told him that. Why? Because that makes nothing better. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know it's convenient to like dig a big hole and stick a sign in it that said 2016 and chuck all the bodies in it. But, you know, some of us find that kind of offensive. So I just wanted to say, I hope one of the things, I'm sorry that went away, our ability to show respect respectfully. But I do think it can be resurrected at some point.
Well said. Yeah, there is. I guess we can address it. Just recently, Carrie Fisher passed away, and just tonight, Debbie Reynolds, unfortunately, passed away. We've had a lot of deaths of well-known folks, and a lot of people are saying, "Fuck 2016." You know, and I don't think the people are directly blaming the year. I think it's just one of those where it's in the forefront because it is so noticeable that a lot of these notable people that some of us grew up with are passing away, and some of them too young. And so I'm not sure if it's a lack of disrespect as just people feeling that this was a rough year, and it's more noticeable, you know. So I'm not sure everyone who says that is meaning to be disrespectful. I think they're just making a statement that this is a notable year for them because a lot of people that they've grown up with, icons and such, have passed away. So
you don't think Troma's going to make a movie about a calendar that actually murders people?
I hope so. I sincerely hope so.
Actually, that would actually be kind of interesting. But
Calendars had titties, they would do it.
if they had breasts, Stroma would be there.
Andrew, I smell a Gonzorific film in the making.
I honestly, that was almost our holiday movie, but I didn't know. Not to make this shit about me, but we almost did it, yeah.
No, but I mean, I understand what you're saying, though, Andrew. But I think sometimes a lot of people are saying that it's more of a coping thing for them, possibly to try to comprehend.
Mark, if I could toss
go
my
ahead.
two cents into the barrel or the ever increasing empty pool, as we'll say.
Sure.
I honestly think we are so like acutely attuned to this now because of social media. This is only like being respectful towards, the passing of others is obviously a very natural and good thing. It serves a purpose. It allows closure, and it allows people to be able to remember and move on.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening now with social media is that this isn't just about remembering and showing respect. It's about narcissism.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is my opinion, because I've been talking with my bud Corey Udler, who used to do Astro Radio Z with me, about this all day today, because there's in the last few weeks, I mean, this whole year, let's be honest, there's just been a continual stream of people that we grew up with as celebrities and people of note just passing away, because we're reaching that age where these people, they abused their bodies most of their life, they lived rock star lives, and now it's catching up with them, and now they're all kind of passing away because some of them just never let that lifestyle go. Let's be honest about this. And now it's because of social media, and this is just my opinion, I mean, you guys can refute this and say whatever you want. Because of social media, it gives a voice to everyone because we all know everybody does 1.5 million selfies, everything's about them, that they take this idea of let's respect the dead and let's show tribute to a level that makes it not about that person that passed, but about them.
Right.
And that's what, for my taste, I find it really distasteful. I understand. Please be respectful. Sure, these people were a part of your life and like made you think of things in a different way, and you enjoyed the time you spent together, be it through movies, be it through whatever media. But do we have to? How do I put this? Because I know you try to run a respectful show here, Mark, and I don't want to curse on it.
No, you can curse.
Oh,
We
I'm going
curse all
to
the
later,
time
so
on
go
here.
ahead.
I'm so sick of star fucking. I am so sick of star fucking. And what ends up happening is when these people unfortunately pass, it becomes a big star fucking orgy on Facebook. And I just really find it distasteful. And it's just like, you know what? Okay, they passed. Okay, good. Let's move on. Let's say this is very sad and let's move on. But it just becomes an ongoing thing because it never stops. It never ends. That's just my 2 cents.
It never stops. I think it started when I first started noticing it was a while ago. Like, what was it, like 6 years ago or 7 years ago when Michael Jackson passed away?
Right.
And all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh my God, we always loved him," and I'm like, you guys were making jokes about him for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that were claiming it. And now when people pass, I will often post something and talk about like, oh, that's really sad. These were really good people. I'll miss them. I'll get angry sometimes. And, like there's things in their life to celebrate and stuff like that. For instance, as we're taping this, Carrie Fisher said a lot about like, say, like mental illness and struggling. Which really resonates with a lot of people. It's good to bring those things up, but I think that, and I would agree with you on like that. So many people make it about them, and they pretend like they were their best friend. And how am I going to go on now that they're not here? Well, how did you go on yesterday? You'll be fine. it's somebody who means a lot to you. It's tragic they're not here anymore, but it wasn't a family member or anything like that.
Yeah, don't let their passing be in vain. Don't say, like Andrew said, don't say fuck 2016. It is the wrong way to go. A friend of mine, Adam Bartlett, that runs a doom metal label here in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, made this amazing post today on
I saw that.
Facebook
It was great.
about the fact that you need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps and be thankful for what you do have, and that this was not a fuck this year. It's not the year. It's about your perception on life and how you take these things that happen to you and be strengthened by them and persevere. My grandfather died the first half of this year, and it was very hard passing for me. I mean, he's the last grandpa that I'll have.
Yeah.
And I still think this was one of the best years I've had, to be honest. So I just find the whole, and it's social media in general. It's just a toxic place for the vast majority of people.
It is. I mean, I am going to be just to put this out there, I will be very happy to see this year go. I often think that the most worthless holiday in the world is New Year's, because I mean, what the hell are you celebrating? The calendar resets. So what? You know, the next day is the same as the last. This year, I'm kind of into the symbolism because it was just a really rough year, you know. And I was saying that for a lot of times, and I have something happening early on in next year, hopefully, that will spin a turnaround. So I'm all about, yes, this year, for me at least, sucked really hard, both in a personal way and in kind of a more national, global, looking at the state of the world in general kind of way. And I'll be kind of looking forward to maybe like starting from scratch and say like, okay, how can we fix it? You know, but yeah, it's this, if 2016 sucks, yeah, all the people that you like that have passed away is one part of it. It's not the main part, and it's certainly not even the biggest part, because we're going to start losing more and more people just because of age.
Well,
you know, but the fact that it was a dark year for some of us, a lighter year for some, and I'm all into that symbolism right now. But yeah, I mean, I get it. It's because any other year I'd be like, yeah, it's doesn't make any difference. And now I'm just kind of like, I'm clinging to whatever symbolism I've got at this point. And I think that there's some people like that, but there are some people who they turn it into something trite.
Yeah,
you know,
I think what pushed me over the
that.
edge was seeing a meme that had Lemmy with his finger up that says, you know, "Good riddance 2016." I'm like, dude, he died last year. You don't
exactly.
As of the day we are taping this is the 1 year anniversary that he died.
Yeah, 2015, ladies and gentlemen. 2015.
So,
all right,
yeah,
sorry, man.
I mean, no, it's a good discussion. It relates to film because a lot of film icons passed away. You know, it's something I think about. I post online too occasionally if it's someone who I think is significant. While I have that feeling of, you know, fuck 2016, I fully recognize that, you know, that people pass every year and whatnot, and and you know, I'll post something if someone had touched, like Carrie Fisher. You know, I pretty much grew up with her in my childhood. So 2.5 years old is when I saw Star Wars, and so through my childhood, the strong female character I grew up with was Princess Leia, among, you know, a couple others, but definitely her. So it kind of, you know, it tinged a little, but I didn't post because I think some people are posting because, oh, this is the trending thing.
This is the new one. Now everybody, we got people who have never seen Singing in the Rain who are talking about Debbie Reynolds.
Right.
And we've got people who talking about the guy who played the Heat Miser passed away. It's like, oh my God, how can this happen? Like, you haven't seen that since you were 4.
The best version of ourselves is not typically the one we hit social media with.
It's still
that's
sad,
100%
but come
true.
on.
No, but no, I do see your guys' point. I think the sincere folks get buried underneath those who are doing it for as you say, the narcissism, unfortunately. So I know personally for me, this year hasn't been the best for a lot of things that happened personally for me, especially near the tail end here. Some things going on. So yeah, I'll be happy to see kind of the reset button on the year as well. But just because it all depends on the person you affect. I think icons have been passing for years. It's just that now that we have this outlet, and it's one of those things where it's kind of in the forefront, people almost are looking for it.
People just are always looking for attention.
Right.
Let's be honest. It doesn't matter what it is. It's always we have a platform in a spotlight and we think because we have a number that's next to the word friends that these people care about everything you have to say.
Yeah.
And also I think that because there's a lot of people that do seek the attention also that almost feel obligated every time a celebrity passes.
They want to be the first one.
I better post like 3 things in a row about how much they meant to me.
That goes along with the whole, even if you have a friend or someone, a distant friend or someone who had a relative or something passing, some people I think feel obligated to say something because, oh my God, if I don't say something, what will they think when that person may not even care because they're mourning right now. But, while they might appreciate our condolences or whatnot, I think some people feel like, oh, I better, otherwise,
Right.
you're going to hear it later that I didn't post on social media that I send my condolences.
Yeah, let me see the research on healing vibes, by the way.
Yeah, and again, just like for the people who post the things about the famous people who pass away. No, if they really did mean something to you, by all means, share it and everything like that, and honor them and stuff like that. But don't make it about you.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So, Paul, did you have anything to add to the discussion on the passing of film stars and such? Since that was a part of 2016 this year, it seemed to be one of the topics. So it kind of fits our episode here.
It's just the usual thing that I basically echo a lot of how you guys feel. I do feel that a lot of people, when they say they suddenly, it's like they remember this person after they pass away. It's like, where were you when they weren't, while they were still here? Why didn't you every day post something? Why wait until they're dead to honor them? That's the only thing that upsets me. And that's why I don't tend to post anything on my social media about that sort of stuff. Maybe I'll do a condolence or I remember how this affected me, maybe it was the first movie I saw with this character and what did it mean? In that aspect, I do tend to be a little bit narcissistic in that I like to put my own thing in there, but I think that to me is justifying it. I'm basically saying, this is what it meant to me. This is what this person meant to me. And that's it. I don't want anybody to say, hey, look at me because of this. I just want them to say, this is how I feel, and I'm letting it go, and I'm fine with that.
You should put some thought into it, man. That's all I'm asking for,
Yeah. It's instead of just saying fuck 2016, it's like, like for me, I posted Carrie Fisher because my experience with, being young and growing up with her, and Debbie Reynolds, who was in one of my all-time favorite musicals, Singing in the Rain. So I posted a video from one of the dance routines from Singing in the Rain, for her, and that's it, because it's a fantastic routine. The Good Morning song, I sing that.
Oh, love that.
I sing that quite often. So, I think it's intent versus. I think the sincere people out there tend to get buried a bit by those who are just making it about themselves, unfortunately, and that's the social media that happens quite a bit. So excellent point and topic, Andrew. Thanks for bringing it up, because that is, I think, something that is relevant to our best and worst of 2016. Not just films, but just the environment in general of where we watch films and discuss about films.
Good for the old time capsule here at the Spoiler Room.
Exactly.
or the editing floor, depending on your discretion.
Yeah, I'm cutting all of this out. Fuck you guys. Fuck 2016. No.
Well,
Anyway.
we could probably all make a prediction that by the end of 2017, there'll be enough people that have passed away that people will say fuck 2017 as well.
Well,
Yeah.
the stars have, I guess my final thought on this is, and then we'll move on, but is the stars, famous stars that have been passing away all the time. It's just that now we have so many outlets and exposed to so many sources where these people, still reside in that they're still up front in many people's minds, are still in the light or whatever. You have access to their material 24/7. So I think it's just more in the forefront now, only because there's this outlet for you to realize it. A lot of these times before the internets, back in the day, it might be in the entertainment center section of the newspaper, and who reads the newspaper? You know what I mean? Not as many people read the newspaper as who's on the internet. So I think that is too the fact of we've had many icons pass away. It's just that many of the icons that have passed away this past year are icons of the generation who's been part of this technology boom and the advancement of social media and such. So I think that's why you see more about it. It'd be interesting, people when the plague was starting, I don't think people during the Black Plague were going, fuck 1895.
But it would be funny if they were, right?
They
probably
were
were.
scrawling it. They were going to trees and just etching it in trees.
Who did this
Carved
wicked
the
shit?
Hashtag buried another child.
And on that note, Andrew,
Yeah, dude.
why don't you present us what are three of your favorite, what you feel were some of the best films that you saw this year?
Okay, well, I don't know if you want me to give the best and the worst all in one thing.
Just give the best right now, we'll do, and then we'll swing around to the worst.
All right, homie. Well, my three best movies, I'll just give because I did a top 10 for work, but I'll just give the three top. Three would be Ghostbusters, which I saw 10 times in the theater. It's the most I've ever seen a movie in the theater since Pulp Fiction was out. My number two is Lemonade, which is technically a Beyonce record, but it came with a full-length movie that kicked my ass for 4 months straight. And then my number one is Moonlight, because it wasn't just the best movie I saw the year, but it's pretty much one of the best movies I've seen in my whole life. So that's my three.
Awesome. Now I've seen one of those three. Lemonade sounded interesting when you were talking about it before. Has anyone else here seen Lemonade?
I wanted to see Lemonade pretty bad after, Andrew, you had written that article and you really put it out there on your podcast and all that. The moment you put that stuff out there, I went to HBO Go and they had yanked it the day before.
That's weird. Well, I mean, if anybody wants to see it, basically what happened is if you buy Lemonade, the album, which is pretty cheap, the movie comes with it. And it's the same if you do the download, the movie comes with it too. And it's just basically a long thing that goes with every song. It's a whole movie. And it's got, I mean, every one is a short, I'm a big fan of the short film medium. I make them and stuff. It's just it's so experimental, but the music is actually good too. And I was like, what am I, a Beyonce fan now? It was crazy. I'm I can't stop thinking about this. It really had a lasting effect. It was my number one mid-year, but Moonlight was came in and upset the whole thing.
So was Lemonade similar to a Moonwalker type of thing, where it was kind of music video type shorts connected with a story, or?
Yeah, but it's all personal, so it's a
Sure.
whole epic odyssey, and the songs are different genres and stuff. I mean, I know it's a movie podcast, but I'm telling you, Lemonade flat out some of the best film work period I saw all year. It was just really, I couldn't quit thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. And what's Moonlight about? I keep hearing people talk about it, but I haven't had a chance to look much on it. It's not going to show here.
Yeah,
Did you see it as well, Scott?
I did.
Oh,
It was
sorry.
really good. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
No, Scott could tell you about it, man.
No. It's not on my list. It's on yours. You talk
Oh,
about it.
okay. Well, it's a movie in 3 part. It's like three act structures used to tell this guy's story, Chiron. He is played by 3 different actors for the time. There's one that plays him as a kid, one that plays him as a teenager, and one that plays him as an adult. And it's basically about, like, you guys know, man. I mean, I don't really go after movies about men that much and stories about men. They're not typically my favorite type things, and I don't really, I'm not looking for that kind of a story to be relayed back to me in my entertainment, because I'm a guy, so I know. But this, for whatever reason, it just touches on the whole thing about expectations of masculinity, particularly in the Black community, about the stipulations on being gay and how there's still homophobia around that stuff. But the performances and the scenes are just, they're done with this guy, Barry Jenkins, I think is his name. His hand is just so deliberate and delicate.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is just handled so note perfect. Because, you all watch a lot of movies. You always do that thing in your head. You're just like, man, if they do this, they're going to ruin everything. Or, man, they would be perfect if they just did this. That's a whole movie of just payoff every single moment. It's one of those things where I'm mind blown. Like, it's a classic movie. It will be good the whole time I'm alive. If someone's like, man, you want to look at Moonlight, I'll be like, yes, that movie is great. There's people that are no longer here that I wish could have seen it, because there are things that just, there are certain moments in people's life and people in people's life that could just make it or break it. And
Right.
all of the voices in Moonlight, all the experiences in Moonlight, it just all equals up to, it's not a soul crusher, man. It's transcendent. It just washed over you like waves, but it's all good. Like, there's sad stuff in it, there's bad stuff in it, but it has a great positive ending. And it just, I don't know, man. I was transformed after seeing that, and I cannot tell you that happening of anything really that I saw even like last year or the year before.
Wow.
You were talking about how positive it was. When I saw this, Andrew, I was watching the movie in the theater, and I guess because so many movies from this year, I mean, if you look at even some of the good movies or some of the bad movies, whichever, a lot of them have been so downbeat.
Yeah.
And let's face it, the main character in Moonlight, who goes by his name is Chiron, Chiron, sorry, but he goes by a different, identifies under a different name in each segment.
Yes.
His life is so tragic in so many ways, with his upbringing and the neighborhood he lives in, and realities of his socioeconomic status, all that stuff. That I was just so scared to death that something, like, any moment something horrible is going to happen. I was just like, every moment I was worried that something horrible was going to happen. But you had to kind of see beyond that and see the heart of this movie. And it's got a beautiful heart to it. I think in the first segment, I'm going to screw up the pronunciation of his name, unfortunately, but Mahershala Ali.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, who also, a lot of people, if you saw Luke Cage, you saw him play Cottonmouth on that show.
Oh, he's wonderful.
He plays a role that, if under a lesser actor, would be handled very much the same. He handles it completely differently here, and it's so good that I'd love to see him get nominated for some kind of Best Supporting Actor deal.
Yeah,
He's
it's great.
fantastic.
I mean, there's one where Chiron meets him first when he's little, and the guy's like a role model for him. At one point, he just straight up asks him, he's just like, how do you know if you're gay? And the scene, you're just like going like, oh man, don't mess this up. Not just for the sake of the film, but for the sake of this kid, And the guy doesn't look like a guy that would give you the best possible answer, but he does.
No,
it's just great.
Awesome. Yeah. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I'm hoping it'll show a lot of those movies like that around here in central Wisconsin show up in January. So I'm hoping that's when that shows up, when you get around closer to the Oscars and that they start releasing them here for a limited time. And I'm hoping to catch that one as well as a few others, because they didn't get released here because we have limited theaters, plus the audience around here is a little tougher sell for some films over the others.
Not believe y'all didn't get Medea Halloween.
Yeah,
Oh, we
I
got
know.
Medea Halloween. Oh, we got it.
Derek got it in Appleton area, but here we didn't get it here either in Point or Wausau. So
God, that was the
unfortunately,
movie that almost killed me. Like I just lost, could not. The breath just left my body.
well, those are three good picks, good sounding picks, definitely, Andrew.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, Moonlight is one I really want to catch and hope to catch soon. So we'll go here next to Derek. How about Derek? Why don't you give us what did you want to bring to the table today as far as three of your best films you saw during 2016?
I thought 2016 was an awesome year for
Mhm.
movies. This was a year that kind of rekindled my love for going to the movie theater. For a very long time, I've been very dismayed by going to the multiplex because let's be honest, I live in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, which is a very small town. I mean, it's about 50,000 people or less, and in the past few years, there just has been really nothing that I've wanted to see. And since I've moved here, the theater, which is a relatively small theater, has been showing all of these indie features, which I've been loving. Now, some people might go once they hear what I have to say, what movies I'm picking, like, oh, those aren't really indie. But to see these in Wisconsin in any way, shape, or form in the theater is a fucking miracle. So the three movies I saw all in the theater that I thought were wonderful were one, hands down, best movie of the year for me. I have never had a theater experience in which I've walked away so shaken that it took me an hour to calm down, was Green Room. Flat out my favorite movie of the year. Just a masterful film. Absolutely loved Green Room. My second pick was perhaps the second best theater experience I had all year, and that was The Witch, which was, I think, one of the most tonally spot on gothic horror films that I've ever seen. I loved that movie to death. And then three was a film that was very different than either of those two. And this may be the biggest budget of all the movies that I would ever pick. Probably be Arrival.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought Arrival, I'm a big sci-fi fan, but I'm mostly a fan of speculative science fiction, like science fiction that sits and really tries to go a little bit deeper than space battles and spaceships flying around and creatures and all this other stuff. While they're creatures in Arrival, it's much more about concepts of like existential questions that we have about our lives, about why we're here, about how we act towards each other, and decisions that we make throughout our lives. And I thought Arrival was it was 2 hours long, and I could have watched another 2 hours of it. That movie, I just never wanted it to end. I loved it. So those were the three best, I thought, this year.
Those are great picks. Yeah, Green Room was on my top 10 horror for the year. Really enjoyed that quite a bit. Surprised me. Heard you talking about it. It looked interesting. You get really intense, really well executed, especially for, it's pretty much a rather limited budget. It's great to see Patrick Stewart in a villain role. Who else here has seen Green Room?
Oh yeah, I saw all of them. I was actually on Derek's episode of Astro Radio Z, along with a couple other people, talking about that movie. Those are all good picks. Every single one of his picks is in my top 15.
Mm-hmm.
They're great movies. I had one negative experience about Arrival, which I think I may have told some of you guys. I don't know if I told it on the air though. And it was that I saw Arrival like a couple days after the election. I'm not going to get political, but I was really down, especially since I'm like living in an area where everybody's just like, woo, about it, and so I was really down and everything like that. I'm really just, already was dealing with a lot of personal things. So like that kind of like took the wind out of me. everybody says, okay, you gotta go see Arrival. It'll give you hope. It'll like, it's the movie you need to see right now. And it is. It's wonderful. It's so good. It's amazing. And as I'm leaving the theater, this loud guy stands up, says, "That just sucked. I don't get it. There weren't hardly any guns. Didn't even fight."
Wow.
And I was like,
Wow.
I'm like, you motherfucker, you couldn't give me this one thing.
Nope. It seriously was such a, not only a gorgeous movie cinematically,
Mhm.
the cinematography is just so symmetrical, so methodical. The pacing, while it was, a lot of people would probably say it was slow, I thought it was perfect. It just like slowly unveiled itself, and it never, like, I never knew what was going to come next. And I was, even though it felt like it was slightly predictable, I still felt like I was engaged. Like I wanted it to go a certain way, and it ended up going that way. But I was glad it went that way.
Yeah.
Well,
You know, as
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, well, I mean, it's so wonderful just to see a movie where, I mean, it's just like, and it's a movie about the importance of listening and
Yes.
talking to each other and trying to understand one another. And then, of course, it gets into all these different things about that I'm not going to go into here because it would be way too spoilery for the people who didn't see it. It's just got all these amazing messages. And you were talking about the direction. This guy has directed a few notable films, none of which I had seen yet. Haven't seen Prisoners. Thank you, Enemy or Sicario. I hadn't seen any of those, and I'm sitting down at this movie, and I'm like, Jesus, this guy directed the shit out of this movie.
Yeah, he did, man.
Is he making
amazing.
Blade Runner? Like, isn't
He's
that
the-
who?
Yeah,
He's the guy
24
who's
yeah.
doing Blade Runner, and he is in talks. Though you can like take that with a grain of salt. He's also in talks for Dune. So
Whoa, I think that would be a good fit. This was one of those movies that I literally walked in because Amanda picked this, my girlfriend Amanda, and I walked in with zero expectations because while the trailers looked okay, I wasn't really like gung ho to go see it. But like a half hour into that movie, I just looked at Amanda and said, "I love this." I just absolutely adored it, and I thought that way about all of the 3 movies on this list. Literally grabbed me. Like there was something about them that took me out of daily life and exported me. Like I was so engaged by all of them, and it's wonderful to have a year where there were 3 movies. There was more. I could probably listed 5 that literally made me forget about everything and transported me into their world. I love having movies do that. So,
Yeah, I will say there were quite a number of films that I saw this year too that did that. Paul, any thoughts on Derek's picks, especially Arrival or Green Room or The Witch?
I haven't seen the Green Room. The Witch is on my list as well, so that I definitely enjoyed that pick. And I seen The Arrival, and I did thoroughly enjoy that movie. I thought the science was really nice. You actually got to experience science in science fiction, which I know that sometimes the trend with Interstellar is it's heading toward that, The Martian, and I'm enjoying that trend, and I hope they continue that trend because it's the type of movie that I like to see for science fiction. But also, I do like to see the space opera every now and then too.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. For The Witch, we actually did the podcast episode on here. Paul, were you on that one?
Yes, I think I was.
Yeah. So if you want to catch Paul's thoughts on The Witch, you can check out that episode. But would you agree probably one of the best horror films to come out this year? I know a lot of people, it was kind of a divisive film in the horror community. How'd you feel about it? Just quick.
It
How'd you feel on The
exceeded
Witch?
my expectations, and that's why it hit my list. My list will be based on the ratio of expectation versus delivery.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so
Cool. And yeah, great picks there, Derek. I'll agree on all of those, especially The Arrival. That was on my list as well, actually.
Nice.
And so, which should tell folks out there what type of film that is, because yeah, it was one of those films where I came out of it. It's one of those where you go, whew. And I was thinking about it 2 hours, 4 hours after the next day, thinking of the things in it, you know, and the cinematography in it. Definitely, you know, there's a lot of interesting things they did with the camera that I think some people didn't pick up on. And no, it's not an action-packed film, but there is a lot of tension in there, just involving a phone call. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but let's just say, just involving a phone call, it's actually a rather impressive way it was handled. And yeah, I think a lot of directors out there might have made a mess of it, but they kept this film that could have ran away from the director. I think he kept it really under control. And you look at this going, if not handled right, this can just spiral out of control and people won't be able to follow crap with it, you know. But yeah, Andrew, any thoughts on Derek's picks at all?
I agree with all of them, man. All of very good stuff. Things that I really enjoy read.
Cool.
Well, I was on like what? I did an episode of one of y'all about Green Room. Did an episode with one of y'all about the witch and Arrival. Man, I just thought Charlie Sheen was amazing in that. You know.
Wrong Arrival. That's okay. Good that you enjoyed that film. At least somebody did.
And they had backwards knees, man. You didn't think of it.
They had the backwards knees. So
did.
And Paul, since you mentioned it, what were your 3 picks? I think we already know one of them. So
yep, it's definitely the Witch. And I also picked, again, based on the expectation to delivery ratio. I also thought that 10 Cloverfield Lane was a really good film.
Oh yeah.
That was from earlier this year, so I think a lot of people forgot that came out this year.
I'm sure.
So you had 10 Cloverfield Lane, The Witch, and what was the other one?
This is the one I probably will get a lot of groans for, but I really did like Captain America: Civil War.
No groans here.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no groans from this dude.
Oh,
so you got a problem with Black Panther? You get a problem with me?
Yeah.
I was going to say.
I was just really worried because, you know, with superhero films, people tend to say, oh, they're overdone, and I kind of did go into this film thinking it's going to be another one of those things, and I thought it was going to follow the same pattern that all the other Marvel films did. And then they didn't follow that pattern, and it threw me for a loop. And that was like, oh wow, I did not expect that. I was expecting the super soldiers to happen,
right?
And that didn't. So it was cool.
Well, if they've listened to our episode, we did a podcast on 10 Cloverfield Lane as well as Civil War. So
you should definitely go see those to get more insight on why what I'm saying. And with 10 Cloverfield Lane, it was just that closeness. I hadn't felt that kind of closeness since like Alien, where you felt drawn into the space. And that's what was interesting to me, is like, and that film I really knew nothing about. It was just like, oh, this is going to be Cloverfield. And so I watched it, and it was like, no, it wasn't. It was something totally different than what I expected. And I loved that part of that. So
we did dedicate a whole episode, but yeah, just my thoughts with 10 Cloverfield Lane, especially. I like that because you didn't know what was going on, and because they managed to keep a film like that under wraps to where you actually had, for a little bit, the internet going, 10 Cloverfield what? You know, that trailer came out, and I saw the internet, especially the movie groups, explode going, what the hell is this film? How did they hide it from us? And I'm just smiling going, that's impressive in this day and age. you know, Scott, wouldn't you say that was one of the impressive things with 10 Cloverfield Lane is how they kept it under wraps, especially who was in it?
Yeah, I'm probably not the person to ask about 10 Cloverfield Lane because I didn't care for them because I didn't care for the movie. But despite John Goodman being awesome as always, but yeah, well, that's something that, you know, Bad Robot the production company Bad Robot, J.J. Abrams' company there, they do that. They've somehow in this information age have managed to create a thing where they will either keep certain aspects of the production such a mystery that people just can't stop talking about them, or they will completely surprise you with something. I think the original Cloverfield was like that.
Yeah.
Where people had no idea what that movie was, and then there was a trailer, and then like 2 months later there was a movie. And there was like websites and everything else. People were like, what the hell is it? And I like I said, I didn't care for the movie that much, but I will give him props for being able to be as clever and secretive in the advertising and create an interesting hype machine in this information age where it seems like you have to be the first in line to see every single movie, otherwise you're going to get spoiled for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and that, like I said, 10 Cloverfield Lane, we did a whole episode, but that's what impressed me even before I saw the film, which I did really enjoy. It is how they kept it under wraps. Andrew, did you have any thoughts on 10 Cloverfield Lane or Civil War?
Y'all could get all my thoughts on 10 Cloverfield Lane on the episode we did, right?
Yep.
Captain America Civil War, Black Panther.
Yeah, that was the highlight for me for Civil War, was seeing Black Panther in action. I really enjoyed that. It made me really, can't wait for the solo movie for Black Panther after seeing him in Civil War. And Derek, how about you? Any thoughts on Paul's picks at all? You had a common one in The Witch, but I know you're a big comic book guy. So the Civil War, that was a big hit with you too, wasn't it?
Yeah, the first time I went and saw it at the theater, I was kind of milked, like lukewarm to it. It just seemed it was half of it was the theater experience was awful, and you can go to there's an episode Corey and I did about our experience on my radio show where it was just not a good experience. But I ended up, because I always do, I'm a huge, like you said, I'm a huge Marvel fan. I grew up with Marvel. I bought the Blu-ray, and upon the second viewing, I loved it. I think it's just like a perfectly balanced film. The story is so intricate, and we're to the point now with these Marvel movies where you have to have seen the other movies to really fully get what's all at stake here now at this point. And I loved it. It feels like now we have a visual like a visual representation, like in live action, of what comic book readers have been reading their entire lives.
Sure.
I love it. I absolutely loved Civil War. 10 Cloverfield Lane, I'm with Scott. I think it was a gimmick. I honestly, the movie didn't do much for me. I think the acting was really great, but I just really think the fact that it was a Cloverfield movie was an afterthought and a marketing gimmick, because that really tainted the movie for me. You can say all you want about it being like a similar universe, in name only, spiritual sequel or whatever you want to label it, but it was a gimmick, and it left a really horrible taste in my mouth.
So if it was
the movie itself was okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Was okay. That's all I want to say about
it. No offense.
None taken.
It's funny. The one I was worried about is the one that you guys liked, and the one I thought was like solid was like no.
Well, this is the thing, Paul. Is that Amanda and I were both pretty excited to see it because the trailers were really great, and then we just both walked out of it like, man, that kind of sucked.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, I'm not going to give mine now.
Say whatever, Mark.
You want?
We hate each other because I didn't like Cloverfield Lane.
Oh no, not at all. No,
He's
just say
Xing
that
out
you-
Ice Age Collision Course right now.
Freaking Norm of the North. No, I'm
Fuck
scratching
Norm of
my
the
It's not
North.
like we're talking about Batman versus Superman here, Mark.
Here we
That's-
go. Here
You're
we
supposed to say trigger
Jesus,
warning
Jesus.
before you say that.
No, you should have said trigger warning before Civil War. But you want to hear my thoughts on that? Check out our episode on Civil War as well as Cloverfield Lane. Both, all good picks though. There, I think definitely. So, yeah, and Batman versus Superman and Apocalypse. We did episodes on all three. We won't go into that right now. Anyway, trigger. Yeah. So, and then Scotty D, what are your top three for best?
My top three.
Well,
Well, I am
the best.
gonna pick the top
Sure.
three because there's because just I don't know what else to do, honestly. I will
No,
say
that's fine.
I will say that my number 4 was one of Andrew's as well. I should mention
Mm-hmm.
Ghostbusters,
Sure.
which was so much better than I ever imagined it could be, and I would personally, just me talking, I would advise anybody who hasn't seen it to see the theatrical cut instead of the extended, because I thought that version had a lot better pace and the scenes just didn't go on and on with riffing and stuff. But that was a great movie. I saw that twice in the theater, loved it. Anyway, but my top three, were I would say in third, Hell or High Water.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
Really great movie. I'm not into like crime type movies and stuff like that. I think they've been done to death. But I saw this flick with I actually saw it with Cole Meredith, and we both just thought this was an incredible film. The acting was amazing. Chris Pine completely unrecognizable in the movie. Jeff Bridges turning in another great piece of work. More Nick Cave at his best. I mean, it's just a really great film. Second would be The Neon Demon, which Nicholas Winding Refn, if I'm pronouncing it right. Let's face it, it's not like we haven't the things the movie is saying. It's not like we haven't heard them said before. I could say the same thing about Drive, Fear X, Bronson, his other films. In this case, a thing that examines the obsession with beauty and image, and how it can change you, and how people will do anything to take that from you and get some of it for themselves. I mean, we've heard that done before. It's just how he does a movie is no one tells the story like he does. He is a really great visual artist and does things with his scripts and everything with just little minimal touches in the scripts and then putting it all up on the screen that really stay with you afterwards. I've felt that about virtually all his films. And in first place, just saw it last night, is La La Land.
I was waiting for someone to mention La La Land.
I was waiting for this movie. As soon as I saw that, I heard about the movie at the early part of the year. I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. And then as soon as I saw the trailer in August, I said, that's it. That's the movie I want to see. If I only get to see one, if someone told me right now, you can only see one film for the rest of the year, I'd say I'm waiting for that one then. Because that was the one I was waiting for. And sure enough, it's beautiful. I mean, it's the performances by Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone are incredible. The music is great. Damien Chazelle just tells such a great story. He's really a gifted filmmaker that we need to keep an eye on. It's a musical, and yet it's not completely dark and it's not completely light. It's somewhere in between, that conflict between the fantasy of expectations and the reality of life. And it's just a really beautiful film. I liked it, even though, to go on what Derek was saying about his Civil War experience, I had a very bad theater experience with it. So I'm going to have to actually see the movie again. I had the theater was packed last night. I had an old guy next to me who insisted on narrating the whole movie to his wife. Oh, now he's over there. Now he's playing piano. And and like my friend on the other side said, yeah, next to me I had a smelly guy who was shelling and eating peanuts that he brought from home the whole night and elbowing with the ribs.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a really miserable theater experience.
Wow.
Even
You sure that wasn't Corey Udler? You sure Corey Udler didn't show up down in Florida?
It could have been. I should ask him. Like, tell me some details about him. Let's see if we can match up.
Man, during the holidays and shit, people go to movies that don't usually go to movies a lot of times, so they don't know what the fuck they're doing in there.
Oh yeah, and there were people in the row that were drinking and stuff like that. You know,
they're so feral. Like, people go to the movies so seldom now for the most part, man. It's like they don't know what, they forgot their old manners and shit.
Yeah, but even through all of that, I still love this movie, and the more I think about it, the more I love it. And I'm definitely going to be going again. La La Land's a brilliant film.
Yeah, a lot of folks in the film circles that I follow and such have just been praising the film up and down, and I am looking forward to seeing it, and at the same time hesitant. But anyone else here see?
It's wonderful. I mean, you from what you're telling me, people only go to the movies to get out of the cold anyway, where you live. So I mean, you'll probably be okay, except for like a couple homeless people trying to sleep it off. And you can appreciate the movie without anybody shelling peanuts or narrating it.
That's true. We won't have that. Anyone else here see La La Land? Andrew?
No, I haven't been. Actually, I haven't been to movies in a couple of, probably a week or so. I like Whiplash a lot. Like his first movie, I thought it was really great. So I will definitely see it.
Yeah, Whiplash is one of those I still have to see.
Oh, it's great.
It's phenomenal.
That's another one where when I first saw it, I said, hey, that was a really good movie. And then the more I think about it, like even like a year or two after the movie came out, I'm thinking like, man, that was a good movie.
Dude, Whiplash is a masterclass in film editing. It is amazing.
Wait till you see this thing.
Yeah,
I mean, the choreography and everything else. Wait till and the composition of the shots. Wait till you see this.
I have a lot of movies I need to watch because I don't watch enough of them. So I need to watch more. I understand that. So, but those are all great picks, Scott. Yeah, definitely heard great things about La La Land. And I'm hoping to check it out. Hopefully, it comes here probably in January. But all excellent picks there, Scott. Too bad you had that bad theater experience. But...
I'm looking to correct it. I've had a few like that down here. I just had to get my. I couldn't even do a Lego Movie because I couldn't even hear anything when I saw that because it was so chaotic. So. Yeah, you live and learn. It's like, there are people here. Maybe I should have had not gone to the movies today.
So we'll just skip my picks. We'll just move right on to the.
Oh, come on!
No way!
Come on, let's hear it.
Right,
let's hear it. I want to hear it. Henry Cavill, I get it.
No,
Angry Birds. Come on, Angry Birds.
Again, this is picking from the pot of films that I thought were the best of. That's why I asked everybody. They didn't have to bring their top three. So
you got pot?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome.
Long story.
My glaucoma is up. So
out of the films that I've watched, some of the best ones, the three I wanted to bring was, two of them were already mentioned for sure. Arrival and Witch are fantastic. So we've already discussed those. So some of the other bests that I have, for me, it's a tie, and no, we're not going to go through a whole list. Don't worry, Derek. It's not like
here we go again, Mark. Couldn't whittle down three. He's going to give his top 25.
No.
It's his show, man.
This is true.
So, no, I just saw it recently, and it actually tied my other for favorite animated films. So it's two films. I'll mention is obviously Kubo, which if you've heard the one episode we did, you can hear all my thoughts on Kubo. But basically, I think it's just a beautiful film and needed more recognition. And Andrew was kind enough to sit through that episode and hear me gush about it. And he talked about it too, but I think he more just let me gush about it. So But that film still sticks with me, and I'm glad Andrew was on that show with me so I could talk about it, because it's just a beautiful movie. But another one I just saw recently is crepes, the name just escaped me now, is The Long Walk North, I think it's called, or The Long
Way North.
Long Way North. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah.
The Long Way North. It's an animated French film, and it grabbed me as much as Kubo did, with this story about Sasha, who's a girl for a high-class Russian family, and this is set, in the past, and there's the Tsar, and her grandfather was a famous explorer, and he was trying to discover the North Pole first for Russia, but he got lost. So she goes on this journey to find him, and she goes through all kinds of challenges and learning about real life, and it's a beautiful movie. Andrew got a chance, I think, to see it too. Wouldn't you say, Andrew, that film, such a strong female character, and just, isn't that a film that grabs you?
Yeah, I would say, man, if you're a fan of Tom Moore's stuff, the Secret of Kells, Song of the Sea, you're really gonna like it. It was it's a Shout Factory is the U.S. distributor, so I saw it like in September, or so it was before Halloween time. But I was like, if I could pre-order this, like when I walk out, you know what I mean? Like I want, that's one I know is going to be a big hit in our house, one that we're going to want to watch a lot.
Shows you how much research I had done on it. I didn't realize he was the one that did Secret of the Kells.
No. I'm just saying, like
it was similar style.
The animation style. Yeah, the animation style. No, Tom Moore. God, I wish he would do in the movie. God, we've seen Song of the Sea so much, man. I mean, but
it's kind of that style.
Yeah, it's got that kind of feel to it. It's there are some people that are doing really unique animation. Most of the animation done in the United States looks and feels basically the same. But when you get outside the U.S., there's so much innovation going on, so much artistry going on, because other countries treat animated not exactly like cartoons and kids stuff. They treat it like a real movie. So, it's not a surprise that a lot of them are. I mean, they're some of the best films that's being made now is animated from other countries like that.
I mean, don't let the subtitles fool you. I mean, it was a fantastic film. I loved the artistry, the different pictures. Pictures were done more like paintings. You could see brush strokes and such. But even beyond that, the characters in that, it was the second animated film this year that really pulled me in. As much as I liked Moana, which was a beautiful movie, Kubo really pulled me in as well. And then this one struck me just as much as Kubo did. And it's another, a journey story, but of a slightly different kind. But yeah, it's one you should keep a lookout for when Shout Factory gets it out, because I'm hoping a lot of people see it, because it really is a beautiful film. And it is it's interesting. It's in French and it's about Russians. So, that right there puts it in a little bit unique spot. So, and yeah, Kubo, like I said, you want to hear my thoughts on that, check out our episode. And the other one that I'm going to mention, as far as best film, as far as entertaining for me goes, I'm going to put it out there. It was a comic book movie.
I think I know what it is.
It was Doctor Strange.
Yeah, Doctor Strange. Hey, did you see it in 3D or regular?
Oh, a good one.
I saw it both. Yes,
How was,
Scott,
man, what do you
good
think
one.
in 3D? Was not a trip to end all trips, man?
3D was definitely a trip.
Bananas, man.
Yes, and the reason I enjoyed Doctor Strange and why it was probably on my best of as far as comic book films go, as much as I laughed at Deadpool and watched a number of comic book films this year, which you can hear me ramble about those, Doctor Strange I loved because it's the most recent Marvel film that felt like kind of its standalone film, similar to Ant-Man, to where you did have a few references to the ones we've been beaten over the head with forever, but at the same time it felt like it was on its own and it hung on its own, and that's what I loved. And it was completely different. It is impressive that they were able to pull this film off that they did and sell it to the comic book fans. And I was really worried about how they were going to sell the mysticism and the magic end of it, because those who just follow the MCU, I will say Doctor Strange is probably completely different from what you've seen in the past with it. But Cumberbatch is fantastic as Strange. I as much controversy as there was with the casting, I thought everybody did fantastic in it. They handled the material. It was entertaining. It got dark and serious in spots. Yet it also did have some humor in it as well. Really solid, fun story. And yeah, by the end of it, I came out going, that was a ride. Damn. And yeah, it's probably one of my top Marvel films as well. So Doctor Strange is probably is going to be one of my best of for 2016 as well. We're going to ask Derek quick. Doctor Strange, how'd you feel about it, sir?
Dude, it was great. Loved it. I saw it in 3D as well. I still think the best 3D this year that I went and saw was Ghostbusters. I still think the gimmick they did with that breaking frame and all that stuff, it was wonderful. And as this year for some reason has changed my stance on 3D movies completely. There's been I think they're really doing a great job now with the 3D that they weren't a few years back. And some of the movies that I thought were great were the Doctor Strange and Ghostbusters. But I still think the best comic movie of the year was Deadpool. It was just so good. It was just so funny, and it was spot on for what I thought a Deadpool movie was going to be. I've watched it a bunch of times, and it's still as good every single time I watch it.
Oh yeah, and I loved Deadpool as well. But for me, out of the most recent films, I'd say Strange was just a little bit above it. But I completely dug Deadpool as well. That had me in stitches and hurting painfully. So
yeah,
I would say that Deadpool might be the most rewatchable of the comic book movies from this year. But yeah, I do think Doctor Strange was probably the best comic book movie I saw this year.
Yeah,
it was really good. And people keep saying that, there's too many of them. It's that's all they make anymore. If you look at like a landscape of 400 movies that get released, they're about maybe at their worst like 10, 15. Which is way more than has ever been done before. But if you kind of treat it as its own genre, it's really not a huge percentage. It's just that since every single one is a tentpole movie, they get a lot of attention, you know? But I mean, it's not like that's all they're making, you know?
So yeah, Strange for me was top. And someone here already mentioned Ghostbusters 2 was one of the best of, for me. Laughed heartily, went with the whole family. We all enjoyed it, from my 2 teenage boys to my wife to I. We all sat, and it was a film we could all sit down and we all laughed at the same time. We all just we bond. It was great, and that film is just fantastic. I don't care what anyone says; it's a lot of fun. If you can let yourself go. And who knew Thor had a funny bone in him and ended up being just pee your pants hilarious.
Well, I mean, you didn't love him in Vacation?
Trigger. Which is a good segue to worst of 2015. Let's start again with Andrew.
2016, Mark.
2016.
I sent him back in time.
Flashbacks now.
He's so triggered. He's beyond.
I am triggered now.
You have to give it a moment, man.
2016, great segue here for worst of 2016. We'll go back to Andrew again. Andrew, I know you don't quite care for it, but out of 2016, what were a few of the films that you just felt just missed the mark completely?
Oh, well, I do want to mention, nobody said this, Doctor Strange doesn't have any guns in it. That's what I thought was badass.
Oh, yeah.
No guns.
Right, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
I couldn't believe it. Instead of giving the worst ones, man, because I don't really. It's not. I'm gonna bend the rules a little bit. I got 3 awards that I'm gonna give out.
Okay. All right. Sure. Yeah. Go ahead. You can do that.
And I got a little. I got a little bit of turd on each one, just a little bit, so that'll satisfy your worst talk or whatever. So we'll do that. Okay. I got 3 awards. First award is the fun but forgettable, except for one holy shit amazing scene award. and that one goes to X-Men Apocalypse because I don't remember anything that happened in it except for the Quicksilver's rescue 3D. That was insane when he goes through the house, grabbing everybody up out of there. Did anybody see this? Anybody know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
They built like a roller coaster through this house and put the camera on it, and it's bonkers, man. That was so good. So that gets that award, which was made just for that movie. I got 3. The please don't hire a director to make the sequel to a movie until they do more than see the goddamn trailer award. Goes to Bad Santa Part 2.
I heard your episode about it.
Dude, you just watch it, go, motherfucker, did you watch this movie before you made Part 2? Did you watch, man? Okay, and the last one is the movie that would have easily made my top 10 of the year list if it didn't ruin the final shot with bullshit CGI award goes to Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Because I'm like, I know Disney that you own Star Wars now, but you do not need to shove Tinkerbell in the final shot of your film. Just please. Yes. I mean, I was like, I can't even imagine how mad I would be at it right now. This was like, weeks ago, but I was like, I love you. This is, so that's that. That's all I got. And if you want honorable mention of stuff I really didn't like, Ice Age Collision Course. That's the worst movie of the whole entire.
I knew we could get it out of you.
I knew we'd get one out of you.
No, if a 3-year-old who like shit that makes the 3-year-old laugh is just all you got to do is fall down. That's all you got to do. She didn't give any type of shit about that. Any even piece of particle of shit about this movie that we were watching. Nin. I mean, we were watching, we were looking at the lights on the floor. We were just playing with our fingernail. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, man. And again, if anything would have fallen any time, she would laugh, and she didn't laugh at that. So take them acorns and shove them up your ass, Ice Age. There you go.
There we go.
They're not going to make no more of those. No, you watch. No more. That's it.
They'll be direct to video if they do. Land Before Time, number 26.
We're all and a lot
watching them.
And a lot of them are going to be Scrat movies.
Probably.
It's just going to be a half an hour Scrat movie, and they're going to charge like $20 for it anyway.
I'm going to agree with you on Bad Santa 2. That movie, oh dear Lord, that's
so depressing to hear. I almost went and saw it.
No, they shouldn't have done it, man. It shouldn't. I was excited because I liked Part 1, and I'm like, well,
oh yeah,
okay, cool, but don't that. And me, man, I would not say anything unless it really, don't.
My friends love the original. I mean, they absolutely love it. It's like their favorite Christmas movie of all time. They just love the original, and so they were really waiting for this movie. And I went to go see it with them. Personally, I didn't think it was that bad. None of us did. None of us thought, we all kind of thought, and this is both me, who liked the original, didn't love it, and them, who just adored it. They all said it was okay, but it didn't really feel like they needed to make it after all was said and done.
Nor did they really accomplish anything in the film to justify having made it really in the first place.
It was all like a thing of let's see if we can get the same audience back 10 years later. Yeah. And
Kathy Bates needed to buy another car, I guess.
There wasn't anything there. So
you order your favorite place to get your favorite cheeseburger, and you eat it, and you're like, damn, that was good, man. I'm gonna get another one. And then you open it up, and it just smells like the old cheeseburger, but you paid the same amount for it.
Yeah.
That's what in some circles people refer to as bullshit.
Yeah.
A Dorito fart.
I watched it. I didn't come.
It's a deep cut right there.
In my 7-point scale, I just basically said it. Yeah, barely recommended. Basically, I saw it. I didn't hate it. I'm never gonna watch it again.
Yeah,
which is actually in a lot of ways a greater insult than saying I hated it.
Yeah, it is. Right?
As far as I'm concerned.
Paul, did you see Bad Santa 2 at all?
I have not.
Oh, good. You don't have to.
Exactly.
I didn't think that would be a controversial pick.
Yeah, no, for me too, when I watched Bad Santa 2, I did enjoy the original, and there were glimpses in the sequel to where I was like, oh yeah, all right, we're going here. Where'd it go? Oh, there it went. Bye-bye. There went the moment. And then they just throw in, Hendrix and Billy Bob Thornton doing it in an alley, and Christina Hendricks looked bored. I mean, she just looked like she was going through the motions, going, "What movie did I sign up for again? What the hell?" So yeah, interesting picks, Andrew. And I do like your awards set up there. So that was an interesting way to approach it. Thank you on that.
Yes, they're handed out on the 5th of Neverwary.
All right, 5th of Neverwary. That's when that's when my wife said that. Anyway, we'll go on.
Mark's on the couch. Mark's on the couch.
We'll move on here. Let's go with Paul's here. Paul, what would you say the 3 films that just didn't do it for you at all, that you considered kind of the not so great picks of the crop?
I really, really tried to find 3, but I'm just gonna say it. I don't go to movies I don't want to watch.
Oh.
So,
well, aren't we just Mr. Pinky in the air?
But I
kidding.
I did find 2 movies that did not meet my expectations, and hence are considered the worst films
Sure.
of the year for me. I also picked X-Men Apocalypse because I had huge expectations for the film, because I loved the X-Men growing up, watching the cartoon show, reading the comics, and I did do the Age of Apocalypse comic books. Mm-hmm. And I was wholeheartedly expecting a lot more than what was delivered. So that movie really faltered for me. And I agree with Andrew. That one scene was probably the one scene that was really worth watching. And then everything else was just, nah.
Like what else happened? Name one thing.
Well, when the final battle scene was kind of interesting, but not what I expected. Yeah, see, there you go. Kind of like with Zoolander 2 when I was on a plane. I didn't watch the film because I fell asleep. Really, honestly, you did get to see the characters of Xavier and Magneto kind of getting back together and not getting back together, and them repeating lines from the earlier movies to try to tie things in. That's kind of interesting, but again, still not.
That don't count as being in a movie, though.
Yeah, so
I'm just waiting for Scotty to tell you you're wrong.
No, I'm letting everybody air their grievances. If you remember when we reviewed I was on the show, one of the things I'm hoping I said, I'm pretty sure I did. I said back then, I said, look, I can really see myself revisiting this movie and not thinking as well of it as I did the first time I saw it. And that still stands. I'm like, I'm kind of like, the more I think about it, like, okay, I guess there was a little more to that was like iffy. I haven't watched it again, so I can't really say. Maybe there isn't, maybe there is. But I'm kind of like letting I'm letting all those opinions stay. That's fine. Don't worry about it. But I will say,
all I gotta say about this is this. Weapon X scene. Boom. That's all I cared about. I don't care about anything else. Weapon X happened. I was happy. I left the theater.
Oh, I remember that, but okay. I remember. Well, I bought it anyway, so I'll just go to Scene Select and watch that in the Quicksilver.
There you go.
I still need to watch my Blu-ray again. I got it on Black Friday, but I'll say this: nothing else. Jennifer Lawrence is in it, so.
Oh,
I didn't. I thought that was my favorite part.
Well, speaking of Jennifer Lawrence, have you seen Passengers yet, Scott?
I have not. Please, no spoilers.
I'm not going to give you spoilers, but
wrong room for that, buddy.
You do get to see a lot of Jennifer Lawrence. So
I'm going tomorrow.
You know who was good in X-Men Apocalypse? I should mention this though. The bad guy from Power Rangers. I thought he was. He was holding it in the road, man. That's a hard thing to pull off in that costume.
But that was one of the things when I first watched the movie, I thought, wow, they got this character totally wrong. And then I looked it up and I was like, damn, I was totally wrong because I had gotten the character correct. It just, I didn't notice any of these powers because they were just not powers that, you know, were often used in the comic books that I was reading. They just happened to be powers that he did have, and he used them like once or twice. But in the movie, they decided that, hey, this is a really cool power. Let's use it.
That was the only powers that Fox could get the rights for. So
There you go.
Remember when they made the Sentinels look like a EMAC?
That's
Purple
good.
EMAC.
That was good.
I think I know where this is going, but we're going to ask him anyway. Derek, what would you say 3 of your worst films that you saw in 2016 were?
Well, if you had listened to my podcast at all this year, you pretty much know everything I'm about to say. But I'm going to throw in a curveball because I think it's not fair of me to just exclude the fact that there was. I usually don't like dogging on indie films at all because they have a lot running against them, and so I mostly only, when I think of the worst movies, I'm thinking about the movies that had all of the opportunities in the world. They had the budget, they had everything, and they still just did not get it right. Like, I'm with Paul. I don't go to movies I don't think I'm going to like.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I spend the money? Why would I
Right.
spend the time? There's no point. So these are movies I went to and I just didn't like at all. I think probably hands down the worst movie of the year for me was Lights Out. I couldn't have gave less of a fuck after 20 minutes than I did with that movie. If you want to see a horror movie that completely ruins itself within 20 minutes, check out Lights Out. That'll be spot on exactly what you want to watch. The second one that I'm going to list, I literally just saw the other night, Assassin's Creed. Was the biggest jumbled nothing of a movie. There's only one movie that I walked out of this year, and that was BFG, and that wasn't because it was bad. It was because my kids were not into it. But Assassin's Creed, literally a half hour into it, I was like, holy fuck, I want to walk out of this place right now. This movie sucks so bad. And the funny thing is about it is 45 minutes into the film, it finally starts making sense. Like, it doesn't make sense for 45 minutes. I mean, we're talking about the director had made the Snowtown Murders, which I think is an amazing movie.
That's that he made that?
Yes. And this must have been his big, like, this was his payday. This was, here you go. It's an Australian director. Here you go. Welcome to Hollywood. And they give him.
Mate.
It was just. It was. So, I was looking forward to seeing it. I've played the games, and I think the trailers looked really dynamic. And the movie is beautiful. The editing is wonderful. The story is a fucking mess that makes no sense. And the script is just awful. Awful. And the last movie, I was gonna say Blair Witch, but I'm gonna bring in an indie film because it's just like it disappointed me so much. I'm a big fan of Scott Shermer's Found. I've talked about it a lot on my podcast, and I think it's just one of those movies that when I first saw it, I knew nothing about it, and it just punched me across the face. But his newest movie, Plank Face.
That was a Glenn Bittner sound right there.
That was a
That was a great Glenn Bittner sigh right there.
Well, how do you? I don't want to go on a soapbox, but I'm just gonna say this. 2016 was the year the underground lost me. I just think underground horror, in general, has completely lost me. Where maybe I am growing out of it, or maybe they are just stagnating in trying to be as edgy as they can with no point put into the movies whatsoever. But I thought Plank Face was literally one of the most pointless things I had ever seen from a director that I know can do better. It felt edgy for the sake of being edgy as opposed to serving a purpose and saying something about what it's showing. I couldn't have hated it more.
Wow.
Is this what you were talking about when you had mentioned chair movies online the other day?
Nope, that is not a chair movie.
Okay.
You were referring, that was Artros, which was a Mexican
Oh
chair
yeah.
movie.
Chair
Yeah.
horror.
I should
Chair
stop.
horror.
I should stop bringing up movies that were done by people that I'm Facebook friends with.
Well, and this is the thing is, that's why I don't like dogging on these movies, because I've run into all these people.
Eventually, you're
and
gonna
I
have to
like
say
them.
hi to them. Yeah.
Well, no, and the thing is, though, if you are a filmmaker, you gotta expect not everybody's gonna like your stuff, and it's okay. You take that criticism and learn from it, or cast it aside. That's
Right.
fine. And this isn't anything to say about that the people weren't trying to make. So I just personally thought it was pointless.
Mhm.
I didn't see it. In Brian Williams, his cinematography is beautiful. I think he's doing some really good work. I just think the need to crank out a movie every single year is sacrificing something.
Mhm.
And these guys can do so much better than this stuff. I don't know I know, Mark, you've seen it. I needed
dug
to
it,
put
but-
an indie film in there other than because otherwise it's easy to pick. The Blair Witch would have easily been that.
Yeah.
But I thought Plank
That
Face
movie
was
sucked.
it sucked hard.
I did dig Plank Face, but I do see your point on that. So but yeah.
Well, do you want to
can
watch?
understand.
I guess I got to put it out there. It's a movie about a dude that essentially gets raped into liking, into being a Neanderthal
Mhm.
by a family of feral sisters.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the whole movie.
Mhm.
There's barely any talking, and that's all it is. Would we be okay with it if it was guys raping a girl into liking it and being part of their family? No. What is the point of this movie? I
Mhm.
didn't understand what it was at all. I mean,
Mhm.
whatever. I just thought it was stupid. I just thought it was so stupid.
I'm kind of I love horror. It's my favorite genre, but a lot of the recent films have left me cold. Just with, I have no problem with downbeat things, but it was a thing I saw in a term I saw in print a few years ago. When they were writing about that movie Seed that came out ages ago.
Oh yeah, the Uwe Boll movie.
The Uwe Boll
Yeah.
film, yeah.
Yeah.
And they just called it cheap nihilism, and that's like, yes, that's what it is. It's cheap nihilism. It's like this no hope, dark, extreme, but for no other reason than to be no hope, dark, extreme. It
Mhm.
doesn't accomplish anything. It's so you're not even watching any progression of suspense or
Right.
anything like that. You're just watching them it just beats the viewer again and again and again. And the films don't even, a lot of the horror films I've seen recently, they don't even seem to end. They just stop.
Mhm.
And I have a big problem with that.
Oh, dude, I mean, there is something to be said about movies that leave you with a feeling and that make you react and make you have guttural, knee-jerk reactions. There is something there.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, I know Mark watches a lot of stuff, but I watch a lot of underground indie horror. And honestly, it lost me this year because that's all it is. That is literally all it is. People don't care about telling stories anymore, don't care about subtext. All they care about is being edgy McEdgerson. That's all they care about.
But we have people out, without throwing names out there, so it won't like put too much of a spotlight. We have people in this group, Derek, that have made very edgy, extreme horror films. And I think that in those films it had a purpose. You know, it had a reason for being that way, and it worked. You know, and I don't think it was done just to get that. You know, just so people would say, "Ooh, did you see that scene?" You know,
Right.
It had a greater purpose than that.
So definitely some interesting picks, Derek. And
I'm sorry, I do tend to go on.
no,
and
it's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
No, it's okay. You know, again, film is subjective, which is why when we do film shows like this, or if I do a top 10 or something, it's always tough because you know there's going to be some, you know, there's going to be disagreement because everyone sees something differently. But you make some valid points, and with Plank Face definitely, and your other picks I can definitely agree with.
I kind of not want to see it just to get my own opinion on it because
see, now that makes you want to see it.
I do. It's interesting.
Before we move to Scotty's, I know it's getting a little long. I realized we did end up missing one of Paul's good picks, so we're just going to bounce back quick and
well, bad picks. It was one of my bad picks.
Oh, one of your bad picks. I'm
One of my
sorry.
bad picks, yeah, it's Independence Day: Resurrection. That was another one that I had high expectations for. Did not deliver. It was still a fun film to watch, but I was expecting a lot more of the first film. I really did want the nostalgic kick. It's probably the worst thing for someone like that likes movies to say, hey, I want you to make the same movie again. But that's how I felt going into this movie, and when I came out of the movie, I didn't have the like factor of Independence Day: Resurrection. So.
And we did an episode on that one as well. And I enjoyed.
I probably liked it at that time, though.
I enjoyed Insurrection, but I had absolutely no expectations whatsoever because I never expected them to ever do another Independence Day movie. So I just went in going, okay, what do you got for me? I dug it. So, you know.
See, and I've hated every movie Roland Emmerich has made since Independence Day. I liked Independence Day. I've hated every movie he's made since then. So when they announced this one, I was not thrilled about it. I went to see it because, you know, I have Movie Pass, so I'm paying for it anyway. I'm paying for it anyway, and it was in walking distance, and I had nothing to do on a Sunday afternoon. And I went to go see the movie, and I didn't completely hate it, but I mean, the reason I didn't completely hate it was that, it's not a good movie. It's a terrible movie. But I was laughing my ass off so much at it that I'm like, okay, I don't hate myself for watching that.
That's interesting.
Because I mean, everything where they're chasing the school bus and Judd Hirsch in the invincible boat, and, and it's just, I mean, it was so fucking stupid, and I hate Roland Emmerich films. I especially hate that. While I enjoyed Independence Day, I mean, we didn't really have a lot of movies like that, and it felt like the stakes were really high. Since then, he's made a lot of disaster porn, you know, Day After Tomorrow, 2012, you know, that kind of stuff, where you're supposed to be like, hey, the world's ending, woo! Like, and it just becomes like watch famous people die, and I thought that's what the movie's going to be. They tried to have a throwback to like the Earth versus the Flying Saucers thing that was great, but of course they've got like you know, Roland Emmerich and his crew are mainly have like about a crew of 20 people, and they're working amongst like 3 brain cells amongst all of them, and it was like so bad that I think this is one guy texted me. He says, "Oh, you're going to see that? Tell me what you think." And I texted him. I said, "That was fucking awful." I'm like, "It wasn't it?" Even we were like laughing about it.
I had fun with the film. But then again, as my son would put it, and as many people would agree here, but Dad, you like Batman versus Superman, so your opinion on any film is invalid.
Your own children, man. Your own children.
My own children.
I'm on your side, Mark. I'm with you.
Yeah, well, thank you.
I like the film too.
No, thank you, Paul. No, I love when we have disagreements on this show. It's awesome. And I do mean that for sure. No, yeah, Insurrection. I had fun with it.
Resurgence. See, none of you can remember the name.
The second ID4 film, I had fun with it. But I approached it as a
ID42, also known
Yeah.
as ID42.
I approach it as a little more of a cheesy film. Again, you can get more of our in-depth thoughts on the episode of the Spoiler Room earlier this year. So, sorry, Paul, that we missed that.
No, I'm sorry for having to bring it up.
No, it's okay. It sounds like you caused some trauma with Scott, though. Speaking of Scott, I know one of the 3 films that Scott's going to mention. So, go ahead, Scott. What were your what are 3 of your worst viewings for this year?
I'm giving you the bottom 3. Bottom
Here it
third
comes.
would be number
Here it
3 would be
comes.
The Boss.
Uh-huh.
If you're waiting for Batman v Superman, it's not in there.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah, it's not in there. No.
Oh, you
No.
disappointed me.
I'm
Scott. So the
no.
Boss.
Oh no! If I had to say the most disappointing film of the year, it's that movie.
Okay. I
But
got
I did, but there was enough in it that I find interesting that it didn't
Sure.
make my worst list. I will say it's the most disappointing. I will also say that it is perfectly reflective of 2016. It's dark. It's fascist. It's it introduces people that you think that you really like and then kills them off, and you leave the thing feeling confused, and angry and kind of hollow. That's totally it's the 2016 the movie. Anyway,
But the Boss, which I've heard horrible things. I
The
didn't
Boss
even go
was
see,
number 3. The Boss was number 3. It was really bad. It was, I'm not the biggest fan of Melissa McCarthy. It's why I wasn't really looking forward to one of the reasons why I wasn't looking forward to Ghostbusters that much, as I wasn't really that into. I'm not really that into Melissa McCarthy or Kristen Wiig. I'm not saying they're the worst people in the world. I just don't really like them.
Mhm.
This was so lazy. This film was the most absolutely lazy. It was schmaltzy while trying to still have like an edge to it.
Mhm.
There is one decent sequence which is given away in the trailer anyway, so you might as well just watch that.
Just watch the trailer.
It's a terrible film. I will also say it's kind of interesting that in the movie there is a bra scene, like where Kristen Bell is trying to. All she has like this is like the kind of like this momish bra, and that scene was repeated a couple months later when Bad Moms came out. And Bad Moms is a movie I actually really did like, where Kristen Bell is the one on the other side trying to like help lecture Mila Kunis about her mom bra, and it's played much funnier in Bad Moms, trust me.
So the Boss, and what else?
Number 2 would be the Angry Birds movie. You knew it was someone was going to mention it.
You figured someone was going to bring it up.
Horrible movie. Horrible. If you want to talk about, like, hey, do you hate your fucking kids? Take them to see the Angry Birds movie.
Can I ask you, Scott, in what world did you think that it would possibly even remotely be good?
Look, I didn't think it was going to be a great movie. I wasn't looking forward to it. But like I said, okay, look, I have a movie theater in walking distance. And I pay $30 a month for a card that lets me go see as many movies as I want. If I have a night where there's nothing to do and I really want to get out of the house, I'm going to walk a mile up there and see the movie. And that's how I saw The Boss and the Angry Birds movie. And it is so condescending to your kids. It is bright. It is crude. There's a scene where you have to watch one of the characters urinate for like 2 minutes straight. And that was like the joke. And there's no plot. There's no talent behind it. It's just crap from beginning to end. It's horrible. And it's an insult to your kids. And I would say it's the worst insult that will ever be unleashed on your kids. But the Emojis movie is coming up in summer 2017. Enjoy that. But the worst film that was not only, it was bad from every conceivable level. It's bad filmmaking. It's bad from a narrative point of view. It's bad with the stars of it. It's bad in how it looks. Is a film almost nobody has seen. I have not seen it on anybody's worst of list. It has got so few people have seen this that it still doesn't have a Rotten Tomatoes rating, except by the audience, the intended audience of this film, who hates it. It is a film called Natural Born Pranksters.
Oh,
Anybody know about it?
I've
No.
seen it on my Netflix thing. I think.
Oh my God! Avoid it. Avoid. Here's the
Alright.
thing. Okay, I might not be. I know it's got some fans in here, like Andrew. I know you're a huge fan. I'm not the biggest fan of, say, like the Jackass crew, Johnny Knoxville, Steve-O, and all them guys. However, they are the greatest thing in the world compared to all the quote-unquote pranksters that have shown up on like YouTube over the years. Look at my sick pranks, bro. These guys who just like walk around with no shirts on most of the time. They are insulting to every single woman they meet. The humor is always sexist. Some of it is racist. The pranks are very obviously staged. I mean, it's obviously staged. And in fact, 2 of the people involved in the movie, it's got 3 pranksters in it, and 2 of them, they're all YouTube stars, have been publicly accused of like faking everything, like just within the last year.
Yeah, there you go.
It allows you. Only an idiot would think any of this is real, and only an idiot would think any of it is funny. I mean, this is the thing where this is actually an insulting film to virtually anybody. It's about if every single men's rights activist and frat boy decided that they could be a movie star, this is the movie that they would make.
Wow.
It's a piece of crap on every conceivable level. I
Nice.
absolutely hated this movie.
Whew, wow.
Other than that, fine Christian men.
Wow.
Well, so how do you truly feel about dead films?
I want them to have their junk ripped off, and then as they bleed to death, just live long enough to realize what a failure to humanity every single one of them is. Other than that, great.
Wow.
Send all your complaints to.
Excellent pick in cases there, Scott. I don't think there needs to be much more to be said about those.
I took my kid to Angry Bird movie.
I liked Angry
But-
Birds.
Well, no, she goes to everything though, man. I mean, she just loves to go to the movies and eat popcorn and just, you know what I'm saying? She likes the whole experience. And so I have been to, and I don't have to, pay for it or whatever. I have the vouchers, so I've been, but it means I've seen a lot of shitty shit. I mean, but I think Minions was worse than Angry Birds.
I haven't seen Minions yet,
Really?
so I can't comment on
That's-
this movie.
to-
But
That was like, if I could do a whole thing about stuff that because I know I bust on Ice Age or whatever, but Minion was probably the, like how you describe Angry Birds, are talking about being like just loud and empty or whatever. Sometimes I really do think that some of the people that make those movies for kids, they're just going like, we need to have something yell, a blow up or whatever, just like every other second, so that they
Yes.
don't start running around the theater or get whatever. And I'm like, man, some kids actually want to, even some of them, I don't know what you have to remember with cartoons is grown-ups are making them.
Yeah.
right.
That's all you got to remember. And
Right. I would
most of-
agree with that. I mean, I think that is the approach that a lot of people take. And, if it's done well, you can do it well. But I mean, I think the films this year, like Moana, Zootopia, Kupo, so many others that I could mention. There's so many amazing animated films that are being made now. I think the proof has been made that, you don't need to do that. You only need to do that if you are really underestimating your audience.
Right.
But
And
you know
I think
what?
they're
Everybody
really
busted
selling
out.
kids short.
Everybody started to laugh at. There's this teaser for Cars that makes it look like Saving Private Ryan or some shit, and everybody started laughing like, "Oh, here we go, man!" But I still think Pixar once every year, every other year, they just need to make like a drama or like a Holocaust movie or something to get that shit out of their system, so they don't put it in their kid movies.
Yeah. I can agree. They need to get something out of their system.
Yeah, them motherfuckers just they are trying. Yeah, I don't know what they're. I don't know, but no, I did take my kid to Angry Bird. I don't remember shit, but the good ones were good. This year had more good kid movies than usual. But
there were more good animated films than bad this year. So
but yeah, but the bad ones, man, they who.
Yeah, I didn't go. I had no interest in seeing Angry Birds, so I was curious, but I didn't actually go even with Movie Pass. I was like, yeah, I got some stuff at home to watch.
When people go, do they just take kids to anything? Yes, we do. For the most part, the only thing we were like, fuck no, was that 9 Lives about the cat, Kevin Spacey.
I saw that.
So I'm like, man, I think DFAX would come get me and shit.
That was bad.
Paul, real quick, you liked Angry Birds?
I did, but I just wanted to point out though that if this movie would have been deep and meaningful and had all these like edgy thoughts and stuff like that, everyone would have accused the filmmakers of not following the source material. Because if you think about it, the source material isn't deep and thought-provoking. It's slingshotting a geometric shape at a bunch of geometric shapes and watching it fall down.
So
yeah.
Paul's based on expectations. Paul, it sounded like his expectation wasn't that high.
Yeah, it was not
Okay,
very high.
okay.
And then with that
I can understand that, but what about the Lego movie?
I didn't watch the Lego movie.
See, Lego movie. I mean,
Oh,
like
you should.
I know I should.
Lego's the
that
shit.
is like it's like okay, it's going to be bright, but I mean, let's be honest. What's it based off of? It's based off blocks. It's not even
Yeah.
based off a
But a
specific
colorful bright
Lego
blocks,
property. It's based off blocks.
Yeah.
That movie was really good.
You know what we thought were gonna be stupid that was Trolls and Sing. Those were pretty good.
Sing.
I still haven't seen that. I still haven't seen those. I would like to see. I would like to see them.
Sing has a Riot Girl in it, man.
Then I definitely need to see it because I like.
The
does,
one that
man.
really shocked me was The Secret Life of Pets.
That was
I
great.
thought that was going to be awful, and it turned out I really liked it.
I heard that was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I still have to see that one, but I'll agree with Paul. With Andrew on Sing. Sorry, I'll agree with Andrew on Sing. I liked it a lot. It's a great little love letter to musicals. If you ever watched musicals, it has that formula. McConaughey's character in it, as the koala running the theater, was just classic. Always
it's a
looking
Muppet
at.
movie plot. That's what
Huh?
it is. It's a Muppet movie plot.
It is. It is. It is completely a Muppet movie plot, and I'm not sure what people were expecting, but I dug it. So yeah, I'll agree. Sing, but yeah, I avoided Angry Birds. So I know we're getting late here. We'll just run through my 3 of my worst. I've seen quite a few, but and yes, there are films that I don't care for. I know it's shocking, but it does happen. And 3 of them. Derek already kind of alluded to Blair Witch, I will say, but for me, even more so than that, was Sausage Party, was The Darkness, and the last one, Incarnate, that I just recently saw. 2 horror films and the animated film. Sausage Party, I'm sorry, folks. I know I'm old, and it may sound crotchety, but that film from start to finish, outside of the little segment that they had in there about the little hot dog that was trying to get back to the grocery store, except for that little bit, the rest of that film, I was bored. I did not laugh. I like I said, I chuckled maybe twice. It just was. I didn't see the appeal. Everybody was talking about edgy and this, and I'm like, if this was human people versus animated people talking the same way, people would have shit fit, and people still did. But I don't know. It was one of those films where it made me mad. Is what it did.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's on my bottom 10.
It's one of those films where I watch it just made me mad because I'm like, oh, and then in there they're trying to throw this kind of idea of faith in there, mixed in with all the "I'm going to stick my sausage in your bun" jokes for the first 15 fucking minutes of the film.
Which means what exactly?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I'll draw you a picture later, Andrew.
Well, I mean, that you just nailed it. I mean, the humor is so obvious, and it's basically a one joke movie. We're gonna make jokes that the grocery store items are what they are representing, and we're gonna so
So
You know, everything is a stereotype of the ethnicity of the food to the sexuality of the food to everything, and that's every single joke. And then, oh wait, we need to have a plot, so let's just kind of throw in kind of this atheist screed into the middle of the movie as the plot. And so people start, I don't know, it seemed like that's what people were really celebrating, that it had the balls to go there. I'm like, this movie didn't say anything I can't see in some like group on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know? And let me tell you right now, that is not a high water mark for shit.
So how close is it to the type of movies that guy watches in Idiocracy?
Take the atheist thing out, and it is the movie.
Yeah, just about.
You know, just like, you know, like take anything, like, because I mean, I think they would react poorly to anything that was even trying to make them think. So
when
they talk about what was it? Ask the movie.
Yeah.
Like 12 Oscars, including Best Screenplay. Yeah, that's pretty much Sausage Party.
Yeah,
Ask the animated movie.
It was just one of those films I just could not. Usually I can see the perspective from others, and I'm glad there's people that enjoyed it. But for me, I went in there and just going, man, this film is exactly what I thought it was going to be, unfortunately. And it just, you know, it was just one of those things where I tried to find it and I couldn't. I just found myself getting angry at the movie. And then The Darkness, I don't know if anyone else here saw it. Horror movie with Kevin Bacon, got wide release. One of the bad horror films that came out in wide release this year. And that movie made me angry because of the way they treated autism, and the way it was portrayed and handled in that movie was so poorly done. It was like someone read some Facebook article about autism and decided that's what they were going to model this young boy who was supposed to be on the spectrum. That's how they were going to handle it. And I was just like, oh, that really hit me hard, because I was like, they did everything wrong with it. And it wasn't even an interesting story.
Yeah. You know? That's what I was worried about. I didn't see the movie. I was worried about when I saw the trailer for that, you know, that they were just going to use it as a gimmick to exploit people's fears about children with autism. It's the way I feel about a movie that's going to be coming up in January. I guess M. Night Shyamalan, because he did something similar with his last movie. So he did something similar with The Visit. Now he's going to do it with Split. I guess he just exploits people's fears about like mental disorders.
Yeah.
And that, like, just looking from the trailer, just how it's treating multiple personalities, dissociative identity disorders. I'm like, oh,
well,
do you know how much? Do you know even a cheap little horror film like that released on such a scale? Do you know how bad that can be for people that are actually going through that? How bad that's going to be to actually for their perception in the world? It really pisses me off.
Well, the only thing I have with that argument is mental illness has been a common theme in horror films in the past as well. So I don't think that's just an M. Night thing. That's always been there, though.
Yeah, but this one really seems to be going for it. I mean,
it does, but I mean, we've seen it before in anything, all the way back to Hitchcock. You know, I mean, the split personality thing in that, you know, mental illness has always been kind of used as an element in horror films. So, you know, for that, I don't think M. Night has the sole ownership on that. I would debate on, but and finally, Incarnate, Waste of Aaron Eckhart. Think of a possession film where the possessed person doesn't do shit, sits there and looks evil. I mean, and literally, that's what most of the. I mean, there's stuff in there. I liked the concept. Don't get me wrong. I did like the concept, and I thought Aaron Eckhart made for an interesting film. But this felt like a pilot for a TV show. And
wasn't that the kid from Room? That's the little boy.
Yeah. But all he does is, for the most part, is sit in the middle of the room and look evil. He doesn't even do much. And then when they go into the dream sequence, because the whole concept is this guy takes care of possessions, not through a religious way, but through science. He goes in and appears that a demonic possession is more of a physical parasite that takes over the brain. And so he goes into this like dream world similar to like Nightmare on Elm Street, and he goes into their subconscious and tries to rescue these people. And it was an interesting concept. I'm like, oh, that's great. And they present that. I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then we get through the movie and I'm like, what the hell? Like such a waste of potential. I guess that's what frustrated me with the film was there was so much there that they could have done, and they did very little, and it was a mess. It really was. But
Yeah, that was one of those movies, man, that they had finished a long time ago, and just it was sitting there. And the weekend it came out, there was no press information, there was no EPK, there was no stills. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing. It was just memes that they did on Twitter for it. That was it.
Yeah. So you need a studio.
That's even though they can't get even though the studios have been really good about cracking down on film piracy, which they should. That film came the DVD quality torrent came out within 2 weeks of that film's released.
Yeah. Well,
I've seen it. I don't have it. I haven't watched it. I've just seen it around. And I'm like, oh, look at that. Yep, look at the screenshots of that. Yep, that's perfect.
I mean, it was. So that was the most frustrating part, was the fact you saw the potential there of something making a really interesting, different spin on the whole possession genre, because it's been done a lot. And they just wasted it. They got lazy with it. It was just a mess.
I feel like the director had made something else that was actually okay. I did a trailer talk on that one, and I can't remember what the hell.
I'll look it up real quick. I've got nothing open.
The director
is Brad
San Andreas.
Oh, holy shit! No wonder I didn't see it.
Brad Payton.
Yeah, he did. The Peyton, San Andreas, Journey to the Mysterious Island, Cats and Dogs 2.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh my god.
See,
from the director of Cats and Dogs 2, the scariest shit you've ever seen.
Holy cow! Holy cow! Yeah, there's no way in hell now.
So, yeah, that's mine. Like I said, I've seen other two that we mentioned, Blair Witch, which there was no expectation from the start, and that was just bad. But I think we'll wrap it up here. It has gotten late. One thing we can say about 2016, there are a number of films I haven't seen yet, but I will say we have seen more. I think in recent years, this is one of the more diverse years I've seen as far as films out there, along with Swiss Army Man. And, we've already mentioned La La Land and Land and Moonlight and Arrival. There's actually looks like some filmmakers now, and even some studios, are at least taking chances on some films, whether or not they're hit or miss. And that's refreshing to see. I think Derek alluded to it or mentioned it, that he was actually interested this year in films. And I think I feel that way too. 2016 really woke me up and made me feel like people get angry when you say there's no originality in Hollywood. Well, that's the way it feels like with wide release films. But this year, I really felt like there was originality out there, whether it was hit or miss with me. And it's good to see. It's refreshing to see, and it makes me look forward to the coming years, So we'll wrap up real quick, and just want your final quick thought on the films you've seen this year, and are you looking forward to 2017 films? And we'll start with Scott. We'll start with you for once, sir. We'll start with you. Final thought and your outlook on the future, plus where they can find you at. So.
I will say that the films, I know I'm going to probably be in disagreement with a lot of the people here. You guys, you just got done talking about The Kid from Room. I was noticing yesterday, before I had seen La La Land, that even though even though the films that I had brought up are excellent, I highly recommend anybody check them out, I said, you know what? Not even my top film from 2016 would probably be ranked 5th if I was ranking it amongst the 2015 films.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still kind of leaning that way, honestly, because number 4 from 2015 was Room. That's the connection there.
Right.
It's rough. It was rough. I think there was a lot of films that were very downbeat, very much of a bummer, which kind of mirrored the experiences of a lot of people this year. Not to kind of all fall into that cliche. But, you know, kind of we needed something different. Having said that, I'm sure that's kind of an overread. I'm sure I'll kind of look back on those comments like 6 months from now and say, get over yourself. You know? And what am I looking forward to in 2017? Am I really looking forward to 2017? The outlook for the world in general, not much. The films, yes. And personal experience, if all goes according to plan, definitely.
Awesome. And where can they find you at?
You can catch me at movieocrity.com, and you can also catch my web series Movieocrity on YouTube, but all the episodes are available on Vimeo. So that's vimeo.com/channels/movieocrity. And I hope to be doing more with both in 2017. So see, that's something for you guys to look forward to in 2017.
There you go. Definitely something to look forward to. Thank you, Scott. Paul, how about you? Just quick thoughts with 2016 films, what you're looking forward to 2017, and where they can find you at.
2016, I really focused on a lot of independent horror films because of a film festival that I was working on. And so I enjoyed, I think 2016 was my favorite year in horror movies. It really recharged my batteries on what horror could be. And it's fantastic to see all the different variations of how horror could be presented. You get used to a certain way of horror being a certain way, and then to have all these independent people doing all these different movies. Yeah, they didn't all just come out that year. Some of them came out years before, but it was just a really refreshing thing. And that's how I'm going to remember 2016. As for 2017, I am looking forward to movies like Alien Covenant, Wonder Woman, John Wick 2. So those type of films I'm really anxious to watch. And I think 2017 has a great deal of potential. I mentioned that a lot of the science fiction is bringing a lot of the science back. I hope they continue that trend because I did enjoy those type of films.
And where can they find you at?
They can find you guys can find me at Forsaken Film Reviews, and also now you can find me at Film Jerks 2.0.
Nice. And it's on the Astro Radio Z Podcast Network.
Definitely.
And Mr. Gonzorific, how about you? Final thought with 2016, looking forward to 2017, and where can they find you at?
Yeah, man, I enjoyed myself in 2016. I saw a lot of great movies, man, and if you didn't, then you just don't know where to find them. And for as far as 2017, I am flipping out waiting to see Hidden Figures. That's supposed to be a 2016 movie, but hadn't opened here yet. I cannot wait to see Hidden Figures. Also looking forward to the stuff Paul mentioned, Wonder Woman, Alien Covenant, Episode 8, but probably mostly My Little Pony the movie, to be quite honest. You can find me at... I'm just playing. I don't know what the fuck.
You had my hopes up, man.
There really? I didn't even know there was one coming out.
If you
Made
no,
by
I
the
don't
people
know,
that
maybe.
gave you Angry Birds.
Yeah, no, I'm Untitled Horror Movie from Paramount. It's the one I'm looking forward to. Okay, so you can find me and my friends make weird movies, and we have them on Amazon on demand. If you are so inclined, drop a couple bucks on Pajama Nightmare, the Underground Cinema with an S, Mondo Gonzo, or our latest one, Late Night Cable. If you like John Waters, Russ Meyer, that type of stuff, we just have a lot of voluptuous people and monsters and camels and chainsaw and just mostly butt and boobs related humor. Thank you. Good night.
And if Mr. Derek Carey's still with us, let's see. Derek, what are your thoughts with 2016 real quick, and looking forward to 2017, and then where can they find you at?
2016 was awesome for movies. 2017, all you got to do is keep it up, I guess. I don't know. I don't really have much to say. I think I saw a lot of really great stuff. It renewed my energy for going to the movie theater again. And I'm sorry if I sound like I'm talking out of my nose. I all of a sudden got a cold today, and it's kicking my ass right now. So that's all I'm going to say about 2016. Killed me for underground horror, reinvigorated me for big screen stuff at the multiplex. So other than that, you can catch me at Astro Radio Z. It's a podcast about cult films and other such nonsense. On that podcast feed, you can get, as Paul had said, you can get Film Jerks, his podcast, and Stillborn Goat 666 Heavy Metal Podcast, run by my good friend Corey J. Udler. It's a heavy metal show. He interviews underground heavy metal acts and stuff like that. All fun stuff. You can catch all of that stuff at AstroRadioZ.com. Or you could go to Amazon Prime and go give our anthology movie Hole in the Wall some views if you like weirdo stuff.
Awesome. And links for all these folks are at specialmarkproductions.com, where you can find all the episodes of The Spoiler Room. Hope you've enjoyed this year of episodes. We do have a special planned. I already have the first episode of 2017 planned and a whole lot more. My feelings for this year, yes, 2016, I think, did invigorate me as well for those films that come out for wide release, as well as a little more focus on indie stuff. There's a lot of stuff to watch out there. For all tastes. So in 2016, though, really we got to see some interesting films finally hit some actually mainstream screens. So that's always good to see. And 2017, yeah, looking forward to a bunch of stuff there, as people already mentioned. So, and there's also supposed to be a new Death Race film coming out. Not sure.
Oh yeah,
good.
Yeah,
bad,
dude.
It's in January.
Yep, there's a new Death Race film coming out. So, everybody else is kind of looking forward to this big film or that. And I'm like, that film kind of looks interesting. So, yeah, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate all our listeners, and we keep getting new ones all the time. Please subscribe to us on iTunes and comment and rate us. It always does help. We're also on the Stitcher Smart Radio, or as I mentioned, you can find all the episodes on specialmarkproductions.com. As we say goodnight to 2016, yes, folks, we're looking forward to 2017. Hope you all have a pleasant and safe new year, and say goodnight, gentlemen.
Good night, gentlemen.
Good night, gentlemen.
Oh man, I broke a nail. Fuck 2016.